Okay, Masters of the Air. We watched episode 7. I'll go ahead and give my score first on this and talk about it, and then you can give yours, and then we'll get into spoilers.
Yeah.
So episode 7, I thought this was another really good episode. Really enjoying the characters. I thought the CGI looked good in this, and there were some cool dogfights and some cool CG shots. It was a good mix of like life at the base, some air combat, got to see some of the prisoner of war stuff. It did kind of feel like a setup episode, but what they're setting up in the last few episodes is pretty exciting. So I gave this one an 8. Thought it was a solid episode.
Okay. Yeah, I for the most part pretty much agree. I would give it a 7. I think it is a drop off from the last 2 episodes in a sense of intensity, even writing and story. But I still really enjoyed it. I still think it's above average, and it's not the worst episode. So I'd say a 7 for me. I was teetering on a 7 or an 8, but I think I'm gonna go with the 7 just because I loved the last 2 so much. Again, I still think this is a great episode. It's just I enjoyed the last 2 a little bit more.
Yep, I think that's fair. All right, so now we're going to get into spoilers. So spoilers for Masters of the Air, episode 7, if you haven't seen it. Just fair warning.
Okay, so for me, the most interesting part of this episode was the stuff with Buck and Bucky in that base.
Stalag Luft 3.
Yes, just, I don't know, it was interesting because it feels different than the rest of the show. I just enjoyed the kind of seeing their two sides. Like Bucky is kind of like, we need to move, we need to get out of here now. And then Buck's more like, no, we need to wait, be more slow about it. And then one of the British, like, we're digging a tunnel or something for the last escaped.
Yeah, a bunch of them escaped. Like, I forget how many they said, but
50 something or 60 or something like
more,
that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then the Germans said that most of them got caught and executed. Do you think they really got caught and executed, or are they just saying that to tell them?
It's very possible they're just saying that, but they probably did catch some.
Yeah. But I was thinking that, I'm like, I don't know if they captured all or most of them. They're probably just saying this to hunker down the base.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so what was Buck doing there, right? He was building radio transmitter type thing. So it could listen in.
Trying to pick up any news he could get. Yeah, that was interesting. They found his first one that he had, and then he had to like scrounge up some stuff for another one. Someone
left like the screw a little out.
Yep.
They hit it in like a hollow leg of a table, right?
Yeah.
What else went on in that storyline? Was that
so?
It didn't show that storyline too much, did it?
Not too much. I think a lot of what it was, the parts I liked about it was really seeing the relationship between Bucky and Buck. Buck talks about how he asked his girl to marry him and saying like, oh, I was hoping you could be my best man. And then later on, Bucky's talking about how he doesn't have anybody back home. And I thought that really, those scenes really showed the connection between them, which, I mean, we kind of saw, but we didn't really get that good of a look at it. So I think that was interesting to see.
Yeah, now that you didn't get a good look at it, I feel like, so, they're at the base and they're comfortable and going off to battles and we're focusing on different things. So like now they're prisoners, right? So time to reflect, I guess.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a lot of reflection, especially from Bucky. He was talking about how like anybody he meets now won't know him before all this, and I think Buck says something like that's the person worth knowing or something, the person after. So yeah, there were some good character moments in there, and also just seeing the base and the way it's being ran, and it doesn't look like the most fun. It didn't look as bad as I was expecting, honestly, but still not fun.
Yeah. I guess when we think of like World War II, we think of like, Auschwitz or something like that kind of bad.
Which I guess,
at least that's what I think.
It makes sense that the prisoners of war aren't, kept like that. I just didn't really think about it. So yeah, that was
Hitler just really hated Jews.
Yes, he did.
And then what was the other half of the story?
So it was basically 2 other parts. There was an air combat mission. It was Rosie's 25th, I believe. So it would be his last one. And there was something different about this where they had P-51s escorting the bombers, which yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really cool to see them flying around and like dogfighting. And it was a much quicker air combat scene than we had before. But I mean, that kind of makes sense. They're not going to show the same things over and over. But I thought it looked great.
Yeah. It wasn't like the battle scenes in this one weren't like detailed and insane like the other ones.
Yeah.
But it looked awesome seeing those, what are they called? The V-51s?
P-51s, I think.
P-51s. Yeah, that was cool to see. Yeah, Rosie's story, that was an interesting part too, because I was wondering that, all these soldiers love to go home, but I always feel like there's some that will feel empty going home, or like feel left out in a way.
Well, and especially like in Rosenthal's place, so he decides to like re-up, right? And the guy who he's telling this to, he's like, "Are you sure you hit the 25? You can go home and just not worry about it." And Rosie said something like, "I wouldn't feel right going home when there's the rookies out there just dying over and over again."
Yeah, well, yeah, because they're
replaced by new rookies, and they're upping the missions that they have to do
from 25 to 28 and then to 30.
Yeah, which that scene when the guy told that was a pretty intense scene, and I totally understand the outrage.
That's, for sure.
That's pretty messed up. Yeah, but I mean, I understand why they have to do it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you get both sides. But like, if I was that soldier too, I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, 5 more missions? That's not like, that's a lot.
25 is already hard to get.
Mission. Yeah, 25 missions for episode 25 of the VGA podcast.
There you go.
But another interesting thing when Rosie was talking to the chief or whoever he was talking to, was he was being honest with them. He's like, look, our guys are literally just going to be the bait for the new P-51s.
Yeah, that line, and then Rosie still like, yes, I'm going to re-up. That was pretty crazy. He's literally telling you, you're just going to be bait. And Rosie's like, okay, sign me up.
Like, realistically, like, he's pretty much saying, like, there's a good chance you're not going to make it.
Right.
At least he was honest with them. Could he tell the whole 100th, though?
No way.
That? Yeah, right. God, just being bait for that. So the new and shiny toys are out. I would feel like so, I don't know, if I was a soldier, I'd be like, oh, so like you're just replacing me with something new and shiny, where like what we didn't do anything. That's what it'd feel like to me.
Kind of. I mean,
even the narrator, what's his face, Crosby. He's narrating. He's like, we've gotten to the point of the war where we know that these bombings aren't doing enough. Like he even says that in the narration. Like, dang.
Yeah, it definitely makes strategic sense. Like they want to wipe out all the planes, and the best way to do that is to get them in the air where they can fight them with better fighters. But yeah, as one of the bombing crew, I'd be like, well, that's pretty awful. And I'm just gonna have to sit there and take it. Basically,
I'll be honest with that. I'm excited to see it though.
Yeah, true.
T-51s. I mean, we've seen them, but I'm excited to see them like in actual combat, because those things are fast.
They were fast, yeah.
And then that third storyline, Kraz kind of had his own little thing going.
Yeah, so I think
Earl again, right?
Yeah, he was narrating and saying how everybody at the base needs a distraction or something, and then it cuts to him, and he had called Sandra, and they're having a little bit of a fling. So yeah, that was interesting. I mean, he's married, but it also makes sense that he needs a distraction. He needs some kind of human connection in this horrible war. So I can understand why he would do that.
I don't know. That's such like that's such a weird, because I was thinking that too. I'm like, God, he's married. What are you doing, man? And then I'm like, but when you see so much chaos like that, it's just like, I don't fault him in a sense. Yeah. But I'm still like, you're married, man.
Yeah.
But that's just the conflict in me.
Yeah, I liked her line when there was. He says, Crosby says like, "Oh yeah, I've been really busy," and she's like, "I know." Like she has some like top secret intel that she's like keeping eyes on.
What did she say? She's like, "Why are you worried about what I'm doing in the past, but you should be worrying about what I'm doing in 20 minutes?"
Yeah.
She's good.
Yeah.
She's good.
His face after that was funny.
One thing I hope they show with him, though, like, I do wonder if they're going to explore more with him in the sense of, like, if he does make it home and then, like, he goes back to his wife and all that, or if, like, he's going to show some remorse, or maybe they won't go that deep into it. But I'm curious.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if
he's thinking.
It is mostly from, like, he's narrating. It's not his point of view necessarily, but, I mean, I think we get a lot of this stuff from Crosby's memoirs, so it'll be interesting to see if they do anything with that.
Another thing I did like you kind of already mentioned it, when they're having that celebration for Rosie and his crew for the 25th mission, that guy getting mad. I thought that, I know we mentioned it earlier, but I really liked that scene. Like, that was pretty intense. Like, I felt bad for like the new recruits and stuff.
I know, seriously.
Like, you're excited that someone's made it out, right? Like, you're alive. You don't want your comrades to die, but then you're pissed because you get to get out at 25 and I have to go to 30.
That's a tough situation to be in. in for sure. And especially because there's only been like 2 of these parties. It doesn't happen very often.
So what were the dates in this episode? It was like March of 1943, I think.
It was March of 44, I believe.
Oh, so they're only
They're
March,
a year
April.
and a half out, yeah.
Okay, so they are like a year and a half out to the end of the war. Interesting.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, are these two gonna try and escape, Buck and Bucky? Because I mean,
I don't know.
Buck definitely, this episode seemed like he's fine to just wait out the war and get home.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But
after that whole thing with the British and the cap, them saying
Yeah.
like cap. But I don't know. I wonder if they're gonna try to escape or if they're gonna if they're gonna get rescued. I'm curious.
Oh, and that was another thing I wanted to bring up. Those 2 guys we followed earlier, they got home. The guys who fell in Belgium.
That's right, because we didn't see them for a couple episodes, huh?
Yeah, and I almost missed it. I had to go back and like, wait, were those the 2 guys? It was not a center point of this episode. It was like a very throwaway, they made it back.
It was like a minute-long scene, boosted morale in the camp kind of thing.
Yeah.
For like a minute, and then it was never talked about again.
Yeah, it was good to see, but also I was surprised. I was expecting to see more of their escape. But
I was too, because that was focused on a few episodes ago.
And at that point, they mentioned that anybody who's been captured and managed to escape can't go back, because if they go back, they'll have too much information about how they escaped the first time, which I thought was interesting. Like who helped them.
that was interesting, and it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So is it more so for
the Belgian people who helped them get out? Yeah, the spies and the underground.
Yeah, it was good. No, it was a solid episode. Like I liked it. For me, it just the intensity wasn't there, and the writing and the more I don't know, the writing with the characters in the last couple episodes, or especially the last episode, just felt like a little deeper.
Yeah.
Like this one just felt more like a face value, like a good episode, but nothing like deep.
Yeah, it definitely felt like kind of a in between big episodes, setting up stuff, episode.
But yeah, overall, I'm still digging it, and I mean, we got 3 more episodes?
Is it 3? I've seen things that say it might only be 9 episodes.
I thought it said 10. I'm pretty sure it's 10, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, 9. There are 9 episodes.
Really? Why did I read 10? Oh, interesting. Okay.
Band of Brothers has 10, and so does the Pacific. Maybe that's why.
Okay.
Which means there's only 2 more episodes. Yeah. Wow. So I wonder I wonder how much of a time jump ahead they're gonna go if we're getting to the end of the war in a year and a half.
Wow, I didn't know there's only 2 episodes. I was fully expecting 3 more episodes, and only 2. Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry to pull that out from under you.
No.
I guess better to know now than when you're watching episode 9 and you're like, wait, is that the end?
I know. It's a good thing you told me, actually.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to know how they're going to wrap it up in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I thought I had 3 episodes to wrap it up. Interesting. Okay, well, we'll find out.
Yep.
Yeah, I got nothing else on this. I enjoyed it. Can't wait for next week.
Same.
And hopefully they don't fumble it in the last 2 episodes.
So far, I think I believe in them.
Yeah, no, I do too.